Bitcoin managed to hold above 21,000 US dollars this weekend, Ethereum above 1,200. Expectations, of course, had been for a collapse of BTC prices below 20k. Though that hasn't happened, there are still big worries about the crypto bear market. So let's get more on what to expect from Annabelle Huang, managing partner of Amber Group. Annabelle, always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, listen, according to DeFi Llama, total DeFi value is down significantly, $236 billion at the beginning of the year to just 73 billion now. What is behind this? Is it likely to continue?
Right, so the first reason is because obviously ETH to USD price has also fallen quite a bit. So in dollar terms, the total volume logged and a lot of the volume that's happening on chain has shrank quite a bit. And just in pure Ethereum terms, a lot of the activities have died down just because of the liquidity crunch that happened over the market past the Celsius and Three Arrows news. Lenders are pulling credit both in the centralized finance space and also on the DeFi space on chain. So we've seen TVL from Aave and Curve all dropped quite a bit. And then there's some specific concerns around staked ETH. So we also see quite a bit of move there on Lido. So I think a lot of factors contributed to that fall. And we might be here for a while before we see a meaningful rebound, maybe something that's positive that happened within the DeFi space, say the merge. But that would be, that's still a few months away.
Yeah, I want to ask you about DAO governance as well. Solend DAO being talked about for taking over a big at-risk wallet. It may have ultimately saved their protocol, but some have said they're worried about the precedent it sets. Are you worried?
Well, it is a very controversial question, right? I personally think it would have been a terrible precedent if they hadn't reversed it, because that simply gave the DAO too much of power. So when it comes to governance, where is the line, right? Is the question here. I understand where they're coming from. They want to save the protocol. They don't want this liquidation to ruin the entire application, and I'm fully behind that. But I do think there are other solutions to that, as opposed to giving too much of emergency power to the DAO. And today they could be doing something for the good of the protocol, but another day, who knows? So I think this is also the beauty and the curse of having everything fully democratized and decentralized. So I'm glad to see that there has been further developments there, but I think it's also a good time for us to think about the governance power of the DAO.
We've also seen USDC's so-called flippening of Tether. Despite this, USDC's share is dropping. Is the stablecoin bear market going to continue? Do you see any bright spots for it?
Yeah, so it is interesting that USDC, even though it's much younger than Tether, its counterpart, I think in recent years and months has really caught up a lot in terms of market share. And I think that's also largely due to a lot of the institutional flows, especially US or Western market-based institutional flows coming to the market, where it's very easy for them to redeem and to create USDC. Which is, I think, highly regarded as the safer version of the safest version of stablecoins. But if you look at the volume traded, then you can see, right, I think it's still maybe a tenth of the Tether trading volume. We're actually working quite closely with the Circle and the Center team to see how best to integrate USDC in a lot of the trading platforms, exchanges, so that they can also be used as the denominated trading pair or margin. But it's interesting to see how fast they have caught up. But overall, the market share of stablecoins and crypto in general has fallen quite a bit. Going back to my earlier point, where people are pulling liquidity off the market, a lot of them actually put it off crypto.
All right, Annabelle, thanks as always.
Thank you.